Lithium battery recycling is very complicated right now. So if you're talking about which agencies are involved in lithium battery recycling, there's probably a lot, but the two main ones are probably the ones that you're going to guess. Department of Transportation. So recycling is almost always going to involve moving the battery from point A to the recycling facility. So we know that lithium batteries are regulated as hazmat, therefore Department of Transportation has a bunch of rules and regulations on packaging, labeling, documenting those battery shipments. The other agency that's going to be key to all of this is going to be the EPA, the Environmental Protection Administration. I think it's administration, the EPA. They, of course, are going to have regulations around what things are considered universal waste, what things are considered hazardous waste, and just kind of from the environmental side of recycling. Those are the agencies involved in battery recycling. But that, that tells half the story. The battery recycling thing here is becoming extremely interesting, extremely complicated, and it's something that really kind of challenges us all to think about what our priorities are. So think about it in two ways. Number one is batteries that are going for recycling, almost by definition, are more risky than a new battery. So if I have a battery that I'm sending off for recycling and disposal, it's a battery that's probably been charged, discharged, it's gone through months, if not years of use. So there is, let's go back to EVs. If I have a battery that I'm taking out of an electric vehicle to ship it for recycling, that battery's probably been in the vehicle for 5 or 10 years. And so over the lifetime, it's been charged, discharged, charged, discharged. It's going through hundreds or thousands of hours of bumps on driving normal roads. It's being exposed to high heat, extreme cold. That battery has been used and abused. So if I want to go ahead and ship that to a recycler, we kind of all have to acknowledge that that battery is probably a higher risk than a battery that just came off an assembly line. So with that, there's then a thought of, okay, if that battery is riskier, what type of packaging should we require? Right now, we have a case where the packaging requirements for shipping batteries for recycling are very loose. It's easy to do. Without getting into too much detail, from the hazardous materials side, there's something that we call UN performance packaging. So UN performance packaging are just boxes or drums or any sort of containers that go through specific tests to sort of certify that they are robust enough for the transport of hazardous materials. So from a battery side, if you're using a box, a UN performance box is one that has been designed to house the battery. It has to go through a drop test, a stack test, and a vibration test. So it's a lot more robust than just a box off the shelf. The big thing here is, at least for now, batteries being shipped for recycling do not require UN performance packaging. They do not require that higher level, more robust packaging. Reason for this, or many people in these last 10 years have asked me the question of, all right, Mike, the batteries that we're shipping, we all kind of acknowledge are at higher risk than a new battery, but we don't have to use the enhanced packaging. The reason that this was set up was this is meant to facilitate the shipment of batteries to recycling and disposal. So instead of a bunch of batteries being held up at somebody's facility because you're waiting on packaging or you don't want to pay for the packaging, the regulators, I think, kind of came to the determination that we'll give them some flexibility on packaging with the added safety benefit of now we'll get those batteries out of the facility and off for disposal or recycling. So what you don't want is to incentivize companies to just hang on to their batteries and build up hundreds or thousands of batteries, because now you have batteries that are all probably pushed to one corner of the facility that are just sitting there for months or years. You have a thermal event, that heat from one battery catches the other batteries on fire, and now your building is gone. So to incentivize the movement of batteries for recycling, DOT kind of let their foot off the gas in terms of what types of packagings are required. Now, as you can probably guess, these batteries that are specifically going for recycling and disposal, certainly including electric vehicle batteries, have caused incidents. Nobody's going to deny that. There have been plenty of fires involving lithium batteries that were being sent for recycling. So right now, there's no, as far as I know, no official movement within the global regulatory side or here in the United States, but there's certainly people that are maybe getting the sense that it might be time to up the packaging requirements for lithium batteries that are going to recycling. So the problem here, as I mentioned at the outset, is like, what are our priorities? Because number one, if we introduce a lot of new regulations on batteries for recycling, that is very likely going to limit the number of batteries that are correctly shipped for recycling. So people are going to skirt the rules. People, like I said, may just start piling up batteries because they don't want to pay the extra packaging costs. So that, extra packaging may enhance safety a little bit, but what are we missing from the recycling side? And so, the big push within the battery world is the circular economy. And so you'll have a pack that you had in your, 80 kilowatt hour lithium battery pack that you've used in your Tesla for 10 years. You're getting rid of the car, they decommission the battery, they ship it off for recycling. Well, that battery sometimes is going to be shredded and the minerals are going to be harvested for new battery manufacturing, or a lot of batteries are just going to be reused for energy storage. So I can take that same 10-year-old Tesla battery that maybe is not really working as well as it did in my vehicle, but I can, park a bunch of those, or take the battery out, put it in a storage container, put a bunch of those storage containers out by a wind farm, and those batteries are going to store energy and release that energy back into the grid when it's needed. So there's a whole bunch of second life uses for lithium batteries, especially for EV packs. But we have to acknowledge here that second life, including being shipped for recycling, there's a greater risk there that the batteries are going to undergo some type of thermal event. So that goes back to this ongoing discussion of what are our priorities. If our priorities are purely safety, then a lot of the second life application of these batteries probably shouldn't happen. If our priority is purely safety, we should probably bump up requirements on packaging lithium batteries as far as being shipped off to recycling or disposal. But if our priority is, circular life of batteries where you can have second applications or, have them shredded and the critical minerals recovered, maybe it is better where we are in terms of making the packaging requirements a little bit looser and allowing these types of second life applications. So that is as far as I can tell, that is a major topic of conversation in the industry within the last few years, because there's just no denying the very simple, obvious fact that batteries that are going for recycling, that have been used and abused, are more likely to have a thermal event than a new battery off the line. That's just a fact that we can't really do anything about right now, but we need to kind of weigh our different priorities in terms of, how do we balance safety and actually having that battery circular economy that we're talking about.